Have you ever wondered about the legitimacy of electoral bonds? That question has been at the center of quite a controversy. Electoral bonds, a financial instrument in India, have sparked debates and raised eyebrows since their introduction. Why, you ask? Well, it's not every day that a tool intended to clean up political funding ends up in the eye of a storm. Questions about its legitimacy have cast long shadows. So, let's delve into the inception of this controversial financial instrument. The story of electoral bonds begins in 2017. The Indian government, in a bid to cleanse the murky waters of political funding, introduced a new financial instrument, electoral bonds. Advertised as a step towards transparency, these bonds are essentially interest-free bearer instruments, akin to promissory notes, that a donor can purchase from select branches of the State Bank of India. But how do they work? In simple terms, a donor buys these bonds and gives them to a political party of their choice. The party can then cash these bonds within 15 days. The identity of the donor remains anonymous, fostering an environment of clean money in politics, or so it was intended. The structure of electoral bonds was designed to protect the donor's identity, thus eliminating the fear of retribution and encouraging more people to contribute towards political funding. Sounds like a good initiative, doesn't it? But there's more to this story. As the electoral bond scheme was implemented, it began to raise eyebrows. The scheme, designed as a tool for political financing, soon came under scrutiny. Critics pointed out the potential for misuse. The anonymity provided to donors raised red flags, as it potentially opened the door for shady dealings. Questions were also raised about the lack of transparency. Who were these donors? Where was the money coming from? The Election Commission of India, among others, expressed concern about this opacity. They argued that it could lead to an influx of black money into the political system, undermining the democratic process. The Reserve Bank of India, too, warned about the potential for money laundering. Despite these concerns, the government defended the scheme, citing it as a necessary step towards cleaner political funding, but the controversy refused to die down. The Supreme Court sensed the brewing storm and pressed the pause button. In 2019, the Supreme Court put a temporary halt to the electoral bonds scheme. Their decision was driven by concerns over potential money laundering and the violation of principles of transparency in political funding. The court's move underlined the need for a more transparent, accountable system that respects the democratic rights of citizens, a system that doesn't just cater to the powerful, but considers the interests of all. And so the electoral bond scheme was halted, leaving us with more questions than answers. So, what have we learned about electoral bonds? We've traced their inception, witnessed their implementation, and delved into the controversy. We've seen the Supreme Court's intervention halting the scheme. In the end, the question about the legitimacy of electoral bonds remains open for debate.